I gave my niece a laptop on her birthday and she screamed at me because it wasn't brand new. What's the most ungrateful thing you see someone do? Today is my niece's birthday and she just went to college, so I thought I'd get her a laptop for her birthday. Now, I am a student myself, but I still want to give her something special. So I searched for a great used laptop, and I found a decent Toshiba Satellite. I sold my PSP and some other things so I can afford it. So there we were at the dinner table opening presents. She opened mine and has this grim look at her face. This is it? I thought you'd buy me a brand new one. You know I can't afford it. It's the best I can do. I want a brand new one, not this. This sucks. Worst present ever. She then shoved the laptop and box across the table and fell down the floor. I picked it up and walked out. My cousin tried to stop me. I just said I would never give her anything again. She even had the nerve to call back and asked for the laptop. Apparently her parents punished her for her behavior and she will now have to buy her own things. No handouts or gifts. My friend bought it as a favor. He helped me pick it out, and knows how much I bought for it. The profit was only $10, roughly. What's the most ungrateful thing you see someone do? Update: niece called this morning, asking for the laptop, because she will need it for college and her parents told her she will never be handed out stuff while she is in college. No apology yet, only demands. Her brother said I would cave and give it to her. Fuck no, and fuck you, niece. A couple years ago a friend and I were driving across the country in a big moving truck full of my mom's furniture. We had been on the road for about 18 hours on the second to last day of the trip and stopped at a rest stop to stretch our legs and use the bathroom. Sitting at the rest stop late at night was an entire family, mom, dad and 2 young kids and their car, which was obviously broken or otherwise not working. Feeling like I should try and help, I asked the father what was wrong and he told me they had run out of gas and just needed to get to the next town, which was about 40 miles away. I couldn't leave the rest stop with that family stranded, so my friend and I got back in the truck and drove the 40-ish miles to the next town, bought gas and a can and drove all the way back in our huge moving truck. The whole trip back and forth took us about an hour and a half, and by the time we got back to the rest stop we were both about to pass out. Well, the family was still there waiting and I hopped out to give them the gas they needed so badly. I handed the can to the father and he looked at me and said, "I would rather have the money." This caught me off guard as money wouldn't help them get anywhere, but it was then that it dawned on me that he never wanted gas to begin with and probably had some in the car. He was just fishing for cash and using his kids as the bait. I felt really bad for the mom as she was just looking at me the whole time with this expression of, "I'm so sorry." I was at a loss for words since the dad didn't even want the gas we had just driven for over an hour to get for them. I just set the gas can on the ground, got back in the truck and left feeling like a giant idiot. This is a common scam. Lots of panhandlers use their kids, real and non-existent, as bait for handouts of money. Who knows what the money is used on? Many times when people ask me for food or gas, I offer to get that for them. 99% of the time, that isn't what they really want. They want the money. The few times that food or gasoline was what they really needed, the people have been very grateful when I provided. I delivered a pizza in a low-income type apartment complex. Total was $18 something and she handed me a $20 rolled up and told me to keep the change. I turned around and started walking down the stairs back to the parking lot while unrolling the $20 to put in my wad of cash when I find a $100 wrapped up inside of the $20. Immediately I turned around and went back, knocked and said, "I don't think you meant to include this inside the 20. As I extended my hand towards her with the $100 bill in it. She instantly started screaming at me about how she didn't give me no $100 tip and that I'm lucky she doesn't call the police. Slammed the door, then called to my pizza shop to complain. I told the manager the whole story. She was put on the do not answer list. Crazy lady. I had something similar happen at an ATM. The guy before me had pulled out what looked like $400 and then walked away without taking the cash. I didn't realize what had happened at first, so by the time I put 2 and 2 together he was out of the store. I grab the money, run after him and catch him in the parking lot. I hand him the cash and he violently grabs it from me and starts talking shit about me trying to steal his money. He starts getting in my face when his friend mentioned that before he ever met me he was $400 down, then I come along and he's back to even, ending with, "What the is wrong with you?" Guy never did thank me, but his friend did. My thing is that if you stole the money, why in the flying would you run after to return it to them? I wish I could kick them in the teeth. When we were very young we were very poor. My sister's birthday was coming up, I think she was about 7. There was no money to buy gifts, but my mother had a small piece of white satin cloth and a box of tiny little pearl beads. She hand-sewed this beautiful little wedding gown for my sister's doll and sat up night after night hand-sewing these tiny little beads on the dress. When my sister was given it for her birthday she threw it across the room in disgust, saying, "I don't want that, it's my old dolly." I'll never forget the heartbreak on my mother's face. Edit. Overwhelmed by the amount of comments supporting my mother, thank you everyone. I am going to see her soon, she lives quite a long way away. I shall give her a kiss and a hug and tell her that I love her, appreciate her, and the internet thinks she's an awesome mom. My son was 6, and was really into trains. He had a fantastic wooden train set with all the bells and whistles, and he and I spent hours putting it together in different ways and playing. But he kept begging for an electric train, begging and begging. I told him, "Not until you're 8. Well, that Christmas I decided to surprise him and I put together a small electric train set on a 4x8 piece of plywood. I couldn't spend exorbitant amounts on it, but it was a nice oval with a split off that went up and over the main track and rejoined. A couple of engines, a few cars, some simple trees and a crossing with lights. It wasn't much, but I spent hours putting it together after the kids went to bed every night. Christmas morning comes, all the gifts unwrapped, and I tell my oldest, "There's another surprise for you downstairs." He ran down and found the train and his eyes lit up, he was so excited. I showed him how to work it, then went upstairs briefly to help pick up. 10 minutes later I'm coming back downstairs to play with him and the train set, and he's walking up the stairs. He looks me in the eye and says, "It's kind of boring," and walked past me. Yeah, I admit it. I cried. Edit. Wanted to thank everyone for all the awesome comments and votes. Just to clear, he was 6 when I built it. I told him he had to wait until he was 8 so I could surprise him. I only built it for him because he had begged so long and hard. He found out pretty quick from his mom how it had hurt me and was very very sweet the rest of the day. He's 14 now, and definitely not spoiled and a great kid, so I think there was a good lesson here for him about being grateful. Don't feel bad, 6-year-old rarely play for anything for more than a few hours before the novelty wears off. Kind of true with us all, really. How long did you do joyrides in your new car before it ceased being your new car and became just your car? Well heck, that was 8 years ago. I felt bad for an hour, and I still look back on it with some little twinge, but the kid felt terrible about it later when his mom told him how much it hurt me when he said that, and I think it colored his life. He never would dream of saying such things anymore and tries to show gratitude for whatever he is given. He's 14 now. The stories in this thread make me afraid that when I have kids they'll be spoiled brats. Don't be afraid, it's something you can control. It's up to the parents to teach their kids grace and humility. Look, my parents didn't say no to my siblings or I very often. We were spoiled, but we certainly weren't brats about it. I think there were 2 keys to this. 1. Before we were allowed to play with any toy/gift we received, we had to write a thank you note for it. And no !*ed thank you notes, they had to be sincere and take up the whole damn card. Doing that makes you think long and hard about why someone would choose something for you, what they intended, and what you like about a present that might otherwise befuddle you. 2. If you did not react with grace and gratefulness, you did not get to keep the gift. End of story. If you reacted like a real brat, you did not get to keep any of them. They were harsh with this rule too, even a sour face could get the gift revoked. As a kid you learn really quickly that gifts are a privilege, and a gesture. You always respond with a smile and a heartfelt thank you, even if your odd relative just gave you items from her pantry, wrapped. She gave them generously, you respond kindly.